All praise to the Most High, Ahaya, and to his son, AHAYAH'S Messiah, AHAYAH. This is Brother Holly here with the first Spirit of Truth broadcast here on the AHAYAH'S channel, as well as the House of AHAYAH channel on this set-apart Sabbath day. First and foremost, children, as always, let's give all glory, praise, and honor to the great I am, he who is, was, and is to come, the Almighty One, Yadahayah, and to his son, AHAYAH'S Messiah, who gave himself for us that we might have life, and that life is in him, Yadahayah. Now, in this first broadcast, children, we're going to get right to it. I promised in earlier broadcasts that we would discuss this topic of when the foundation of the world was and who was found in the Messiah before the foundation of the world and who the world is. And we touched on it in previous broadcasts, children. And I also said that I'll be making a case for the Apocrypha books being inspired and in showing you precepts found in the New Testament from the Apocrypha books. All that and much, much more here today. But I have a little special presentation. I just gotta share. I found something in my preparation from the Holy Bible 1611 King James Version that the first century theologian Josephus, and so many of you have probably heard of Josephus. Josephus was a Hebrew of Yashar'Allah, and he was one of the most well-known historians of the first century or the time of Messiah. From the time of Messiah, he was probably the most well-touted and well-documented historian from our people. This is what he said about the Apocrypha books, and I'll read. And this comes from the 1611 King James Bible. The Apocrypha is about the origin of the Apocrypha books. It says the books commonly labeled apocryphal in Protestant translations of the Bible are of Hebraic origin. Josephus, a famous Hebrew historian, writing in the 1st century AD, notes, this is what Josephus said: "For we have not an innumerable multitude of books among us, disagreeing from and contradicting one another, as the Greeks have." Here's something very, very pointed that is pointed out in the Apocrypha books. In the Apocrypha books, it says that the Greeks burnt the copies of the original Torah, the original prophets, and wrote it again, putting their own images in it. Wow. They destroyed the Hebraic copies and then created their own copy of the scriptures and put their own images and stories in it. That's found in 1st Maccabees. Wow. Josephus said, we're not them that our books contradict. No. We have a lot of books. We have an innumerable number of books, but they don't contradict like the Greek books. I'll read it again. "For we have not an innumerable multitude of books among us, disagreeing from and contradicting one another, as the Greeks have, but only 22 books which contain the records of the past times, which are justly believed to be divine." Will you highlight if you got it? If you got a 1611 edition King James Version, in the pretext of the section for the Apocryphal books, you might have that written. All praise. What is the Hebrew Josephus saying? That we have a collection of books, unlike the Greeks with their innumerable ones. We have a set number of books, and our books are thought to be divine. See, Brother Holly didn't just eat a bad slice of pizza and start thinking that the Apocryphal books were divine. No. I think they're divine, and I believe them to be divine, and I hope you do too, because the precepts found within them can be found in the New Testament. The precepts found within the Apocrypha can be found in the Old Testament. And the record altogether talks about a record and gives us understanding about what the Most High was trying to say unto us, his people. All praises. And I will say it clear, loud, and proud, children. It's through the understanding that springs forth from the Apocryphal books that we understand the New Testament in a more perfect way. Was not Apollos taken aside and explained the way more perfectly? So these broadcast, children, are just me taking you aside and attempting to explain from the scriptures a more perfect way unto you. That's all. All of you know, I won't debate with a soul. Debate's a work of the flesh, and I won't involve myself in it. But I will take you aside and show you in the scripture a more perfect way. All praises. We'll be reading from the His Word Hebrew Yahshua Scriptures, 400 Years of Slavery version. And I could take the time right now to throw a rock at the Sefer, but I wanted this at the moment. But suffice it to say that the copy of the Apocrypha found in the Sefer is of Greek origin, and the copy of the Apocrypha found in this version and others is of Hebrew origin. And I can show you in a separate broadcast the difference between the two. It's slight, but it's there. All praises. Turn me to 2nd Esdras in your Apocrypha, chapter 3. Let's start reading at verse 3. Let's start reading verse 2. This is 2nd Esdras, or 4th Ezra in the Apocrypha, chapter 3, verse 2. For I saw the desolation of Zion, and the wealth of them that dwelt in Babel. And my spirit was so moved, so that I began to speak words full of fear to the Most High, and said, O Yahweh, who beareth rule, thou spake at the beginning, when thou did plant the earth, that thyself alone commands the people. Will you highlight? Back to the beginning. And we're gonna be going back to the beginning a lot today in this first broadcast. Back to the beginning. Who was running things? Who was commanding the people? Yahweh himself was commanding the people. He was commanding Adam, Eve, Noah, and the like. All humanity was under his guidance. But we're going to see very, very quickly and very, very concisely that the Most High, after giving humanity a shot once before the flood and once after, he scrapped them. And he just chose himself a people. We'll read it. 2nd Ezra chapter 3, verse 4 from the Apocrypha. It says, O Yahweh, who beareth rule, you spake at the beginning, when you did plant the earth, that thyself alone commands the people, and gave a body unto Adam without soul, which was a workmanship of your hands, and did breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. Will you highlight? Now you can precept that back to Genesis chapter 2, can't you? All praise. And thou led him into paradise with thy right hand, and had planted before ever the earth came forward. Will you highlight? Now here's something you probably didn't realize that the Apocryphal books bring out. The paradise was made first. Then the Most High made the earth. I'll read it again. 2nd Esdras chapter 3, verse 6. And thou led him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. And unto him thou gave commandment to love your way, which he transgressed, and immediately you appointed death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, kindreds, out of number. Will you highlight? basically saying all humanity came from Adam. That's repeated over and over again, Old Testament, New Testament, and in the Apocryphal books. No one ever disputes the fact that all humanity came from Adam. And it said clearly here in 2nd Esdras chapter 3 that the Most High gave all of those people. He was the leader of all those people. He was commanding them people. Adam and those who came from him. Who came from Adam? Let's read it again. 2nd Esdras chapter 3 verse 7, and unto him thou gave commandment to love your way, which he transgressed, and immediately you appointed death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, kindred, out of number. And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments. So this is pre-flood. All the people on the planet, Adam included, were commandment breakers. Most High was the leader of all of them. And they were commandment breakers. They despised the commandments, much like the vast majority of people on the planet today despise the commandments. So let's see what the Most High did. I'll read it again. 2nd Esdras 3:8. And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised your commandments. And again, in process of time, you brought the flood upon those that dwelt in the world, and destroyed them. Will you highlight? And it came to pass in every of them, that as death was to Adam, so was the flood to these. Will you highlight? So for every time when a Constantine Christian want to go back to before the flood, it says in 2nd Peter that the world from Adam to Noah perished. The flood was the complete annihilation of everybody on the planet except 8 people. And we're going to read that in a moment. But that's a very interesting. What was going on from Adam to Noah? The Most High was dealing with everybody. Most High was giving commandments to everybody. And everybody walked away from it. Everybody despised his way. I'm going to do my own thing. That's what they said right here. They said everybody was self-willed. They followed their own will. The dictates their own heart. They knew of the commandments of the Most High, but they transgressed them anyway. Much like today. And what was the result? The flood. I'll read it one more time. 2nd Esdras 3:8. And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised your commandments. And again, in the process of time, thou bringest the flood upon those that dwelt in the world, and destroyed them. And it came to pass in every of them, that as death was to Adam, so was the flood to these. Nevertheless, one of them thou left, namely Noah, with his household, of whom came all righteous men. Will you highlight? There was only 8 people, and they were all righteous. Wow. Just like when Adam was created, he didn't know difference between, he didn't know evil until he sinned. He was a righteous being. He was created righteous. And it says in the book of Genesis that Noah was an upright man and perfect in his generation. Wow. It says he was perfect. Another concept that Constantine Christians stumble at. No one is perfect. Then when you read to him in Matthew 5, that the Messiah say, be ye perfect even as your Father in heaven is perfect, they slide all over the road. Well, then the Messiah is giving you a commandment to do something that's impossible for you to do. I thought you could do all things through Messiah who strengthens you. You can't do that. Children, constant Christianity is a failed belief system. It does not work. It does not agree with the text, Old Testament, New Testament, or the Apocryphal books. It's a false way. It's filled with the spirit of error. It's a household of confusion, and it leads people away from the truth. It will lead you away from that which will tend toward life, which is having faith in Messiah and keeping the commandments. Wow. We found out last week, man, if you don't keep commandments, you ain't going to have no access to the tree of life. Second Ezra chapter 3, verse 11, nevertheless, one of them you left, namely Noah, with his household, of whom came all righteous men. And it happened that when they dwelt upon the earth, began to multiply, and had gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. Will you highlight? They start out, it was 8 people. So as soon as people started multiplying, they started becoming more ungodly. Soon as Noah passed away, and Shem and Ham and Japheth, all of them were righteous. He said of them came all righteous men. But as people began to multiply, they became more ungodly than the first. Let's find out what happened. Oh, I know. The Most High had another flood. No. He burnt the whole place to the smithereens. No. He didn't do that. People became more ungodly than they were before the flood. The flood ended that first world. The world from Adam to Noah, the flood took care of. After the flood, there were but 8 people left, and they were all righteous. But after the flood, when people began to multiply, they became worse off than they were before the flood. I'll read it one more time. At Second Ezra chapter 3, verse 12, and it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply, and had gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. Now when they lived so wickedly before you, you did choose thee a man from among them whose name was Abraham. Will you highlight? He had all of humanity. Remember what was read, what was spoken of, what was said here in 2 Ezra chapter 3? Who came from Adam? Everybody. All nations, kindreds, tongues, all of them. And all humanity that is here now were deemed righteous on this side of the flood. The sons of Shem, the sons of Japheth, and the sons of Ham, the children of Noah. But when the sons of Shem, the sons of Japheth, and the sons of Ham began to multiply, they all became more wicked than at first. And there was a son of Shem, whom the Most High chose. Out of all humanity, he chose one man. His name was Abraham. I'll read it again. Second Ezra chapter 3, verse 13. Now when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou did choose thee a man from among them whose name was Abraham. So he had all humanity to choose from. He could have chose anybody, but he chose Abraham, a son of Shem, a Hebrew, a descendant of Eber, a Hebrew. Him you love, verse 14. Him you loved. Oh, I thought the Most High loved everybody. Now, according to the book, we're going to get to more of that in a moment. That's a key point, children. We're going to find out who he loved in a moment. Oh, like I said, Constantine Christianity is a failed religion. And the linchpin of Constantine Christianity is I'm about to pull the house of cards apart in a few moments. You'll hear it. 2 Ezra chapter 3, verse 14. Him you loved, and unto him only you showed your will. Oh, so you had a whole planet full of people. Only one person knew the Most High's will. One. He had a whole planet full of people. How many did he love? One. I'll read it again. Him thou loved, and unto him only showed your will, and made an everlasting covenant with him. Once again, he loved one man. He showed one man his will. He made an everlasting covenant with one man. Whole planet full of people. This is post-flood. Whole planet full of people. They started out post-flood all righteous. The 8 were all righteous. But as they began to multiply, they became more wicked than the first. And the Most High looked upon it and said, that's it. I'm choosing one man. I got one. I got one. Out of all these people, I'm going to choose one. I'm going to show one man my will. I'm going to love one man. And I'm going to make an everlasting covenant with one man. Let's read about it. I'll start at verse 13 again. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 3, verse 13 in the Apocrypha, in the Hebrew version of the Apocrypha. Not that messed up, screwed up Greek version that you'll find in the Sefer. No, we ain't reading from the Sefer. No, we reading from his word, Hebrew Yashuralite scripture, 400 years of slavery version. 2nd Ezra chapter 3, verse 13 again. Now when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou did choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham. Him you loved, and unto him only showed that you showed your will, and made an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that you would never forsake his seed. Will you highlight? Not only was Abraham given an everlasting covenant, he was given a promise that the Most High wouldn't forsake his kids, his descendants. And unto him you gave Isaac. And unto Isaac, this is verse 16. And unto him, Abraham, you gave Isaac. Oh, whoa, time out. What about Ishmael? Ain't no mention of Ishmael here. Now, if you go to Genesis chapter 17, the Most High was told Abraham, I'll bless Ishmael, but my covenant is with Isaac. Ishmaelites, and all the people that come from them, they have no covenant. There was a time before the flood where the Most High was dealing with everybody. But post-flood and post the apostasy of humanity that happened shortly thereafter, Most High scratched that plan. Last time I was dealing with everybody, I had to kill them all, except 8. And as soon as I turned my back, when they start multiplying like rabbits, they just become more wicked than before. He said, I'm going to go find me a righteous one man. I'm going to do everything for him. Let's read about what he did. 2nd Ezra chapter 3, verse 16. And unto him that you gave Isaac, and unto Isaac also you gave Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou did choose him to thee, and put by Esau. We highlight. Let's go over it slow. Most High. Post-flood, when people began to multiply and become more wicked than the first, he chose one man. That was Abraham. To show his will to him, to love him, to show him his will, to make an everlasting covenant with him, to promise him, I'll never forsake your seed. He gave him Isaac, and to Isaac, who was the seed of Abraham, he gave Jacob and Esau. And of the two, Jacob and Esau, who were the seed of Abraham, who the Most High said he never forsake, the Most High chose to put by Esau. And he chose Jacob unto himself. I read verse 16 again. Unto him thou gave Isaac, and unto Isaac also you gave Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou did choose him to you, but put by Esau. And so Jacob became a great multitude. Will you highlight? Oh, it's in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, that the seed of Jacob is like the stars of heaven. Remember that promise the Most High made to Abraham, that his seed will be as multiplied as the stars of heaven? That promise was fulfilled in the children of Jacob. All praises. In the 12 tribes. All praises. We are the people more numerous than the stars of heaven. And it came to pass when thou led his seed out of Egypt, thou brought them up into Mount Sinai. Okay, we stay with the story. We continue with the story. What we got? What do we know so far? That before the flood, I might just call it the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of the end. And this can be part 1. We 25 minutes in, and I'm still in the intro. So I'll be brief, children. We'll have a part 2. That'll be the second broadcast. All praises. In the beginning of the end, the Most High made a garden called paradise. The Garden of Eden. Then he made a man. Breathed life into him. His name was Adam. And of Adam came all people. Everybody came from Adam. The Most High gave Adam a commandment which he transgressed. And so death, the penalty for his transgression was physical death. And that death passed on to all men that came from him. All people that came from him. And all nations, kindreds, peoples, and tongues came from Adam. And when the people began to multiply like rabbits, the Most High said, I'm going to destroy them with a flood. I'm going to wipe them out with an overthrow of water. And 2 Peter chapter 2 says, chapter 3, Shalak, chapter 3 says, that old world perished by water. So everybody from Adam to Noah died except 8 people, and they're said to be righteous. The 8, Noah and his children and their households, were the 8 righteous that were spared. Then when people began to multiply, at post-flood, when people began to multiply, the Most High saw that they were more wicked than first. Then he said, well, let's flood them again. Let me find me another man, make an ark. I'll flood them again. No. That wasn't his plan. That wasn't his plan at all. He said, I'm going to choose me one man. And I'm going to make a promise to this one man. I'm going to make a covenant with this one man. I'm going to show one man my will. I'm going to love one man and his seed after him. That man was Abraham. And unto Abraham he gave Isaac. Isaac was the only child of Abraham. Oh no, he wasn't even his firstborn. That would be Ishmael. What did the Most High say about Ishmael? I'll bless Ishmael, but my covenant is with Isaac. That's found in Genesis chapter 17. And unto Isaac, who had the covenant, was given 2 sons. Esau, his firstborn, and Jacob. And the Most High chose Jacob to be near unto him. And he gave Esau the stiff. It says in the book of Malachi and in the book of Romans, which we'll go over in the second broadcast, that the Most High loved Jacob and hated Esau. Just like he loved Abraham. He chose to love Abraham. Like he chose to love Abraham's grandson, Jacob. And he chose to love us, who are Jacob's seed and heirs according to the promise. Wow. We're going to keep walking. We're going to walk a little further, children. We're going to walk a little further, children. Then we're going to wrap it up for the first broadcast. 2nd Esdras, chapter 3, verse 16. And unto him thou gave Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gave Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou did choose him to thee. So Jacob's the chosen. And put by Esau. And so Jacob became a great multitude. And it came to pass that when thou led his seed, Jacob's seed, out of Egypt, thou brought them up to Mount Sinai, and bowing the heavens, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 3, verse 18, and bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, moving the whole world, and made the depths to tremble, and troubleth men of that age. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of an earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, that thou might give the Torah unto the seed of Jacob. Will you highlight? That's pretty dramatic. We don't get all that in Exodus. It's like giving us a scene, giving us a movie scene of how dramatic that was. Exodus doesn't give it its just due, starting at verse 20. It just don't give it its just due. No, they don't talk about the fire going through 4 gates. None of that. We'll read that again. And thy glory, this is 2nd Ezra 3:19. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, that thou may give the Torah, or the Tarayah, unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Yasha'Allah. And yet took thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy Torah might bring forth fruit in them. No. He set before us life or death, blessing and curse. If we choose to keep his way, we'll have life. If we choose to refuse and rebel, we'll have death. It's just that easy. But only we were given that parallel choice. Why? Because all humanity, the Most High looked upon all humanity and chose one man. And that man named was Abraham. It was Abraham that he loved. It was Abraham that he showed his will to. It was Abraham that he promised to give him an everlasting covenant, and made a promise to bless his seed after him. And that covenant and that promise went from Abraham to Isaac. It bypassed Ishmael altogether. The covenant was firmly affixed to be Isaac's and Isaac's alone. And that covenant from Isaac, the covenant of Abraham, went to Isaac. And the promises that the Most High made unto Abraham went to Isaac. And then Isaac, they were given unto Jacob. The Most High put by Esau. Most High hated Esau, and he chose to love Jacob. And of Jacob's seed, it was Jacob's seed. It wasn't Esau's people. Esau's people live in Mount Seir, just south of Judea, in the land of Canaan. That's what they were given for an inheritance. But the children of Jacob went down, all 12 tribes went down into Egypt into bondage. And they were there for 400 years until Moshe came, Moses came. And the Most High brought them out. And he took them to Mount Sinai in Arabia. I've been there, children. I've been to the very spot in Arabia, just where the book of Galatians say Mount Sinai is. It's in western Saudi Arabia. I've been there. I myself have stood before the mountain. Oh, praises! Y'all come way too late to lie to me about this book not being true. Way too late. And what happened on Mount Sinai? He gave a fire. I'll read it again. 2nd Ezra chapter 3, verse 19. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, that thou mayest give the Torah unto the seed of Jacob. Who received the Torah? The seed of Jacob. And diligence unto the generations of Yasha'Allah. And yet thou tookest not away from them a wicked heart, that your Torah might bring forth fruit in them. For the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed and was overcome. And so be all they that are born of him. Thus infirmity is made permanent, and the Torah also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away and the evil abode still. There's only one group of people that have the Torah in their heart. All humanity got wickedness in their heart. But only one group of people got the wickedness in their heart and the Torah. That would be the children of Jacob. These are the only people the Most High dealing with. He could have chose, like he did in the generations of Adam to deal with everybody. But that's not what he did. He chose to deal with one man and his seed after him. And in the second broadcast, which is quickly to come, we will begin to show you the end. All praises to the Most High, AHAYAH, and to his son, AHAYAH'S Messiah, Yada, Haya.